Hello there. My name is Natalie, and I'm going to share with you how we created this snazzy movie room slash gym slash Irish pub area. So, some history on this place. We bought this house in March 2020. I'm sure you all know what happened at that point, but we managed to sneak right in to sign the paperwork before things got a little too hectic, and luckily for us, there was already toilet paper left in the bathrooms. But that wasn't the only thing that sold us on the house. The thing that sold us on this house was definitely this room. It was originally a third garage space, but at some point was converted to a media room. It had a projector, a sound system, a stage, a wine cooler, a custom bar area, and was just overall super snazzy. But when we got the house, we had to start from scratch to recreate what it used to be because a lot of those items were removed prior to us moving in. Thanks a lot. Okay. So now with all the equipment gone, that meant that we had to make ours better than it originally was. It had to be the kind of room that you walk in and go, wow, that looks freaking awesome. Wow, that's why it was worth saving up. Wow, that's why I never buy clothes and I still wear the same thing from middle school. You get what I'm saying. So, I don't have footage of a lot of this stuff because I wasn't thinking of making a YouTube channel back in the day, but anyway, I had to spackle in a lot of the holes in the ceiling where the projector used to be mounted and very carefully paint a crispy clean straight edge along the wall because that wall paint was not crispy cream or clean. Same with filling in the baseboard nail holes, which by the way have giant gaps in between that and the wall. I don't know how to fix that, so I'm gonna push that project off to the side. So after some touch up, I drew up this floor plan and figured out where things were gonna go. We wanted this room to be multi-purpose. It would be a movie room and a gym, which is great for me because if my mind isn't distracted while I'm working out, I start to question why I even started working out in the first place. So we found some cool leather couches that fit the space well. That was definitely the most expensive part of this room. And also 3 sets of exercise equipment from Amazon, thank you Jeff Bezos, an elliptical, a treadmill, and an exercise bike. But the stage area had these totally impractical hanging pendant lights which you would hit your head on if you stood up off the couch. So since I had already succeeded in replacing these white outlet covers with black outlets, I thought I was an expert electrician. So because I had spent all the money on the leather couches, I thought I'll just do this myself. And I tried replacing the pendant lights myself with these smart rainbow LED lights. Echo, change the ceiling lights to teal. But then I realized that that would require going through the attic of doom. So we hired an actual electrician, but it was at that point where I decided that the rest of the project would be all DIY. Now for the projector, I found this pretty great projector on Amazon, thank you Jeff, and installed it along with a Roku streaming stick. Roku streaming stick. Luckily, there was already an outlet on the ceiling, so it helped reduce the wires. But then I realized that the sound coming out of the projector was too quiet, to the point where you couldn't hear anything over the sound of the treadmill. We did have these audio wire thingies in the corners of the ceiling that used to be connected to mounted speakers, but I had no idea how to tap into that, and I was committed to this project being DIY. And I definitely didn't want to go into the attic of doom, so I settled on this powerful little Bluetooth speaker. As for the projector screen, that actually had to be custom built. I spent ages trying to find a reasonably priced projector screen that would perfectly fit the dimensions of the projected screen ratio, but they were all slightly off or too expensive. I also wanted it to have a nice border around it to really frame the image, so off to Home Depot we went to grab some wood, screws, and a stapling gun. I also found the perfect type of thick fabric at Joann's. And fun fact, this was also my first woodworking project since 7th grade woodshop class. Funny story about that class, I had a teacher who was trying to demonstrate something and sliced his arm open in front of the whole class and was bleeding all over the place, and he did not seem very fazed by that. I was fazed by that. So I measured, cut, painted, and stapled my projector screen. Then I ripped out the whole fabric part out again because it ended up being way too wrinkly. Apparently, when you wrap fabric around a frame, you have to start from the middle and work your way to the corners, pulling super duper tightly as you go. But luckily, I had extra fabric, and the second attempt looked like the Mona Lisa herself. Until I realized that this movie room is insulated super poorly and the temperatures vary throughout the seasons from hot to cold, causing the wood frame to expand and contract and the fabric to become more wrinkly in the winter and more taut in the summer. Thank you, science. God. Oh well, but we ended up stuffing some bits of cardboard behind the edges of the frame, which help pull the fabric out a bit more. You can kind of see the edges of some of these pieces, but when the projector is on, it's really not that noticeable. And as long as it's not noticeable, I don't care. We also have a dehumidifier now, which kind of helps and is also great for an exercise room. At this point, our movie/exercise room is coming together quite nicely. We've added some decor, like our own movie posters, such as the classic Star Wars, the one great Disney-fied Star Wars standalone movie, Harry Potter.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Indiana Jones, hi Harrison Ford, a legit original Lord of the Rings Return of the King movie poster, and a film case study of Russell Crowe trying his absolute best. And I'm Javert! We also added a wine barrel, a rug, a side table, some blackout curtains, some more smart LED lights for the stage step so no one falls off and kills himself in the dark, and a bed for our little weenie puppy. His name is Dobby, and he likes to look out the window and watch over the house. Oh god, it reminded me of that movie. And finally, on to the most fun part of all, the bar area. This is my husband's pride and joy, his man cave, or more like his man alcove, whereas sometimes I go in there and pretend that I'm all sparkly and glittery and beautiful. But anyway, we got the most perfectly sized mini fridge and wine cooler, and I installed more LED strip lights above the cabinets. He wanted to go with an Irish pub theme, so we had a lot of fun touring different antique markets trying to find vintage decor pieces like these mugs and lanterns. We also picked up this awesome insulator light made by Nigel's Notions, check them out. But the piece that ties it all together is definitely this sign that we had custom made. For the sign, I actually designed the look of the sign myself in Adobe Illustrator first and emailed it over to Chloe. Go check her out at The Silver Splinter on Instagram. She custom cut these letter pieces, the border, and she painted it all and made it look super handmade and rustic and I couldn't be happier with it. I saved the biggest effort of all for last, and that was setting this room up to be a game room. My husband wanted to hook up his PS4 to the projector and have it sit on this shelf over yonder here, but the only problem was that we didn't want an HDMI cable going across all of the ceiling and ruining the whole look that we've painstakingly created. We looked into wireless HDMI cables, but learned that those can have a lag time which would affect gameplay, so our only option was to do what I had been avoiding from the start, going through the attic of doom. We needed to run an extra long HDMI cable above the ceiling through the attic and have it come down to where the projector was. And so my perilous journey began. Our attic is a dark, dusty, insulation-filled hellscape with no visible studs. Every step bears the risk of stepping into a pit of lava and crashing through thin drywall, thus falling to your death. The lights up here don't work, and you must navigate this area armed with only a flashlight. So obviously I decided it'd be a great idea for me to do it anyway. I began by shoving one end of the HDMI cable through this tube here and carrying that up into the attic. I tied it to my waist like I was going cave diving and carefully hopped from one beam to the next, brushing off insulation as I went. For some reason, even though the whole world was regularly wearing masks during this time, I decided to forgo wearing one and instead foolishly chose to shave a few years off my lifespan by breathing in cancer and dust particles. One day I'll return back up here when I share the same fate as my good friend in the attic, our Halloween skeleton. While on this quest, eventually the loose insulation became so thick that I could not safely hop from beam to beam anymore. I found these two wire shelf racks off to the side and decided to lay the tracks as the train's coming or whatever, that train being me. It helped distribute the weight of me over the beams. Basically, I would get on my hands and knees and crawl over one wire rack, reach back and grab the second wire rack, placing that one ahead of me, and continue forward until I reached the location of the projector hole, which I found by listening to my husband tapping at the ceiling from below. Then, once I finally shoved the end of the HDMI cable through the hole in the ceiling, I had to make my way back to stable ground using the same shelf rack method. In the process, I lost one of those shelves in a sea of fluffy insulation, and I could not find it in the darkness. So I hobbled my way across the rest of the beams until finally the deed was done and the ring was destroyed. And thus concludes the story of creating this movie/gym/Irish pub/game room.